working with the local church to take the hope of Christ to every student in the United States. This is First Priority. Now here are your hosts, Steve Chirico and Brad Skelling.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the First Priority Podcast. Glad that you are joining us today. This is going to be a great show for two reasons. The first is that Jenna Dahl, welcome to the show. You're joining us today.
Yes, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited for you to be the co-host today since Steve Jericho is out, which is the second reason this show is going to be great is because Steve's not here.
Oh my. Well, hey, I'll happily take his place today, but
Sounds good. For those new to the audience, I'm just kidding. We banter all the time. For all the old time listeners, you know the story between Steve and I. So we love it. Well, welcome, Jenna. For those who are new listeners, introduce yourself a moment. Tell us
yeah,
about you.
I'm Jenna. I'm in Kansas City, an area coordinator here, and I've lived in Kansas City my whole life and love it. So it's fun to be able to do first priority here and just where I was raised. So I've been on the team with first priority. I'm going into my third school year, which is super exciting. So I finally think I know some things. So, and then when new people are joining the team, I'm like, okay, I think I have some tips for you, but yeah, it's good.
That's why we have you on the show today, is to give some tips, right? So
Hey, yeah.
let's go. Yeah. Tell us something fun. You got big plans for the summer or something fun
Um,
you've done recently?
yeah, well, for Memorial Day weekend, me and my family went to the lake, which was really fun on Table Rock. We love to go there Memorial Day, 4th of July, that type of stuff. It's just a good place to relax and be with family. And then for our family vacation that we're going to do this summer, we're going to go to Colorado. So that'll be fun. Never been in the summer before, so I think we're going to hike and I had some friends that went last summer and they said it was awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. But
It is. Yeah,
yeah.
we won't go down that road because I love Colorado too. Estes Park, Red Rock, Denver.
Mm,
There's so many great places.
hmm Yeah, I've
Mm.
only ever been in the winter, so I'm excited to do something new.
That's funny because I don't think I've ever been in the winter. I always go in the summer because I do a summer camp up there with high school
Okay.
students. So it's always in the summertime, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we've done a couple ski trips, but
there you go.
yeah.
Nice. Nice. Well, you have joined us today to talk about engaging and retaining student leaders in first priority, or students in general, both in first priority clubs. So, yeah, can you lay some of the foundation for that conversation and what inspired this topic for you?
Yeah, I think when it comes to keeping students in first priority clubs, it's just something that we constantly need to be talking about. Are we keeping these clubs real and relevant and just even, when students come to club, are they feeling seen and known and
Mm.
is that relationship being built? And so how do we do that, right? Especially first priority clubs are unique when it's, you have some clubs that are maybe you literally have 10 minutes during the lunch and then others
Yeah.
where you're like, oh, I have 30 minutes here.
Yeah.
And so how do we just do that well and have students keep wanting to come back? And then those students who maybe aren't leaders who continue to come, how do we equip them to still go out and share the gospel as well? So
Yep.
yeah, just a conversation that needs to be had all the time.
And I think it's the perfect time for that conversation. One of the topics of conversation last week at our annual meeting in Nashville here was club health. And
Yeah.
when we talk about taking the hope of Christ to every student, we do, and I do a lot get caught up in starting new clubs. If we start more clubs, there'll be more students sharing the gospel, and because there's more clubs and more schools. But the other side of that is true. If we're taking the hope of Christ to every student and there's 1,000 kids walking the halls of a school, then we need to do all the things you just talked about with club health so that club can have the capacity to share the gospel of every student in their school.
Right. And for me, I am a visionary. So I'm always thinking about, my whole city or the whole country. Like, how are we going to reach
Yeah.
every school, like you were saying, which is important. But I feel like this week for me, I've had meetings back to back to back. And so I actually set a whole day for next week where no one can schedule meetings, because I'm like, I don't just want to have vision for the city, but I want to have vision for each school. And
Mm.
so during that meeting with myself, I'm going to walk out through like, okay, for each school that I have, like what student leaders do I have, and how can we make, okay, we reached 100 students last year, how can we double that, things
Wow.
like that. Because if we're taking the hope of Christ to every student, that means
Yep.
in every school we need to be thinking about every student that's there, not just the next school. And so for me, if we're creating sustainable clubs, we're creating healthy clubs and training our students to do what they're supposed to be doing in their clubs, it's like, hey, your vision is for this school, so how can I have the vision to help you do that well? So yeah.
I suddenly want the answers to whatever you're meeting with yourself next week. What are all the solutions going to be?
Hey, I'll send you all my notes after I've done that. So
Yeah. There's obviously going to be more, but do you have preliminary thoughts? Like, do you have some ideas of where that's going to head?
yeah, I mean, when it comes to sustainable clubs, in my brain right now, I'm thinking, okay, what can I delegate and elevate in that school? So that way,
Yeah.
for me being over, 27 clubs this year, I
Uh-huh.
can't be there every single week and all those things. So now I'm thinking, what do we need to have on each school campus? And so I want more than one teacher sponsor at
Mm.
each school, because that if I had 5 teacher sponsors at each school, that means they're all promoting it. They have posters hanging in their room.
Mm.
There's more teachers who can care for the students on a day-to-day basis, because those students know, oh, these are the Christian teachers, or they must be, because they're at first priority.
Yeah.
And then not just having a club coach, but hey, like, we're going to have people who are happy to pick up pizza every week and bring it to the school. And then those student leaders, like, they're going to get to their club early, and they're going to, pray over the seats, or they're going to be like, hey, like, we get to do this, and just saying those things that make them excited about being able to lead a club. And then also, just for me, I'm really thinking about promo. What does that look like? Because my best clubs, are making funny TikToks every week. And I'm like, okay, how can I help like every school do this well? And
Yeah.
how can we promote in a relevant way that makes students want to be there? And so I'm thinking through social media. I'm even thinking through, there's a lot of things that I ask of my club coach that, he or she can do outside of club, but almost having like a student or a club manager.
Mm.
I know some areas have like club presidents and different things like
Yeah.
that, because it's required from the school. So essentially that, but a
Yep.
student that I'm like, hey, you're owning this thing.
Yep.
Because we have all those students at those schools, but I think just making sure we're speaking the life and saying, even putting it on paper, like, this is the role that you get to step into, because they don't know what they don't know. So like,
Correct.
if I'm just like, oh, like, you can do whatever, it's your club, they're like, okay, like, so then they're just going to take the information they have from any other club they've ever been to. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, we're not trying to do that. We're trying to do
Yep.
something bigger and have more
Yeah.
vision for that. So that's
Mm.
pretty broad, but
No,
once I
good.
have the details down, I'd be happy to share them. So
That sounds pretty crazy. Yeah. If 27 schools, you'll probably have 27 unique plans
right.
for
Well, because
taking.
each school's culture is so different.
Mm.
Even just from a middle school to a high school, but even to my rural school to the urban schools, like, it's just each one's going to have to be unique. And I have to ask more things of certain volunteers depending on what school they're in.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
You sound excited about this.
I am excited. Yeah, I think I was not excited about it like 3 days ago, kind of like
Uh-huh.
overwhelmed. At spring meetings, we as a team, we came up like with one thing statements, which is basically just from my team
Yeah.
giving me feedback on something that I can do better, like what's one thing for the benefit of the team in Kansas City that I can do. And for me, it was basically slowing down and pacing myself to make sure
Mm.
that we're building something that's sustainable.
Mm.
And so I think the Lord really shifted kind of my mindset on it, not
Mm.
just, oh, have vision for every single school, but not have vision just for the city or for the country, whatever, but have vision for every single school. It's not just
Yeah.
oh, now I have all these to-dos and tasks and I have to be
Yeah.
organized. Except actually one of my faculty sponsors was like, oh my gosh, Jenna, you're so organized. And I was like, I need to do my job well. I'm glad you think that, because behind the scenes, I don't always feel that way.
Yep. Yep.
But for me, it's like now I get to have vision for every school, and that's really exciting. And I get to pass that on to my volunteers and things like that versus seeing it as a, okay, now I gotta, do the things I'm not good at. But actually, I was really encouraged by Ashley in Houston because me and her have similar personalities. And so she was telling me basically how like unhealthy visionaries are the worst. Like we can make people feel the worst and be the most annoying and all the things. And so I'm excited for this school year to really grow in my weaknesses and do things that aren't naturally maybe what I'm inclined to do. But I think with the team that I have in Kansas City, I'm excited to begin just learning things that I wouldn't learn on
Love it.
my own because they're really gifted in things that I'm not. So
Cool.
it'll be good.
That will be good. That will be
Yeah.
good. It's exciting. So let's talk some of the challenges. What are the challenges that you are seeing that students who are engaged in First Priority Club, what are they facing? Or what's keeping them from being fully engaged in the club?
Yeah, I mean, I think in first priority clubs, we're basically competing for their attention all the time, right? I mean, there's things online, they have all these classes, their personal lives, sports, band, whatever. Like, we're like, please come here. And, that's why lunch clubs are great. But even lunch clubs, it's like there's always something that's competing for their attention, right? Like the enemy doesn't want them at first priority. And so to keep them engaged, like I was saying at the beginning, we really have to keep our clubs feeling relational and authentic and relevant, something that they're like, oh yeah, I need this. If students don't see how first priority connects to their everyday life and purpose, then they're immediately going to disengage, right? And so that's why relationships and authenticity are so key. And we have been talking a lot about like club culture. And I think it really starts with our adult volunteers, like your coaches, faculty, the mentors. Like this is something we get to do. And I love what Natalie um, Kenny always says, like, she talks to her volunteers every week. And when she sees them, she's like, it's a privilege to be here. They could take this away at any moment. So, like, let's use today as the greatest gift to, like, go share the gospel with these students or go support these students while they share the gospel. And so I think that mindset with the adults, too, will then go down to the students and our student leaders.
Yeah. Well, how does that was technically question 3 on our list of different things, but we can hop around. Yeah. How does that shift the role of the campus coach, the mentor on school? How does that shift what they do?
I mean, I think the campus coach can be the difference between a club that, averages 10 students to a week versus a club that like truly thrives and is constantly reaching new students because students need consistent adults who will show up and listen and challenge and encourage them. And coaches provide that accountability. They provide that long-term presence that many students don't have anywhere else in their life. When students know that someone cares not just like about the club or about their church, but truly about them, that makes them want to stay. I had a call with one of my coaches yesterday, actually. His name is Abram, and he's coaching at an urban school. And Abram's a little Filipino guy, and he's like, has this club of, mostly Black kids that, they truly didn't trust him for the first few months. Like they, didn't really interact with them. There's no like joking around. Like it was just really quiet, and, except for like maybe the music in the back, like that type of stuff. But because he showed up every single week and they saw that he was consistent and they saw that he truly cared about them and genuinely Abram, like he's not the pastor that's coming in and only promoting his church and that's the only reason he's there. No, he's there because he cares. And like this kid came for the first time and immediately Abram learns that he's a wrestler, showed up to his wrestling match like literally the next day. Like that is just the kind of coach that Abram is, which I love. And by month 3, like these kids were joking around with him. He was like, I was having Black kids say things I never think they'd say to me, like all this type of stuff. But that's great. And that's what we want. Like, because now they know, oh, Abram trusts, or I can trust Abram. Abram loves me. He's going to show up consistently. And like I said earlier, like they don't have other adults that are doing that for them. And so that's the biggest way that Abram is bringing the gospel to that high school is because he's showing up every single week. And then also he gets to coach and help our student leaders do better and, encourage them to be vulnerable in what they're saying and share their testimony because those kids in that room have experienced the same thing. So,
yeah, you're getting into their why, right? Why are you
Yep.
there? It's not just another meeting. It's not just another thing to do, a box to check, which all of us can get into that off and on,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's really, he knows why he is there. He's, yeah, like you said, he sees the kids. Brings me
Yep.
back to Shane and Natalie Kenny all the time too. Every time they're in a room with you, they're like, I'm here. I just want to be with the people who are in the room. Then
Yeah.
that's it, right? Not somewhere
That's
else,
so
not
good.
doing something else. Yeah, it's very good. Very
Mm-hmm.
good. So what about yeah, so those kids are trusting the adults. How do they in turn confidently share their faith and do the same thing? It's thinking multiplying effect, right? You are empowering a coach who's empowering students, but how do you empower those students? Because that's a different level too. These kids are, for the first time, their brains are developing, they're becoming aware of their surroundings and what other people think, and they might not want to take that step. How are you empowering those students?
Yeah, well, I love that you mentioned the why behind things because I think that that is the biggest thing. You know, yes, helping them know how to share their story, ask a question, invite a friend, all of those things, we do equip them with tools and give them space to practice. And more than anything, though, we point them back to their why. And when students understand the urgency and the impact of the gospel, that's where the confidence can truly come from. And
Mm-hmm.
when they understand that if they sit back and don't do anything, their friends aren't going to know the hope of Jesus,
Yeah,
then they're going to be like, okay, let me stand up and start sharing. I
yeah,
got to start doing something. And also, students forget, we have to place adults around them that will remind them of the mission and why they're doing this and
mm-hmm.
continually ask them that because, again, sports, classes, family life, all the things. First priority is a 30-minute thing in their week.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have the people around them that are reminding them of the why and encouraging them to share the gospel outside of club or pray for their friend outside of club. And I think monthly meetings are super important for student leaders.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to even creating an environment where students want to participate and lead, they have to take that ownership. And when our student leaders know, hey, honestly, this club isn't just for you. It's for your whole school.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they're leading, they're inviting, they're planning, they're praying, all those things. We
Yeah,
get to help them celebrate and see what it looks like to encourage each other in those
yeah.
things. So, I was talking to one of my other coaches. Her name is Ashley, and she was talking about her monthly meetings and how they get together and they unite in planning and having a vision and all of these things. But she's like, so many schools I go and I see the student leaders. I'm like, y'all would not be friends if you weren't leading first priority together.
Yeah,
You have the band kid, you have the baseball kid, you have the
yeah,
theater kid, you have the football kid.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
these are the Christians that said, yes, I'm going to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
so the thing that's cool though is what unites them is Jesus, and that's what brings them together. And
Yep.
so they get to lead together to reach their school. And Ashley's leading a bunch of rowdy middle schoolers, but she gets them together. She helps them plan. They make TikTok videos. I always see fun promo afterwards, but they have fun together too.
Yep.
And they get to truly see what that looks like to come together. And yeah, think about it. They're 12 years old. They're
Right.
getting to experience this already, and it's awesome. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I love it.
I love it. Yeah, that community aspect of it. Um, Again, I'm an operations guy, so a lot of the writing the guides, making sure the content is there. You mentioned the monthly meetings, the planning meetings, to getting the club leadership together to make sure the schedule is in place and who's doing what every week.
Yep.
And there's so many things to do, but it really does come back to relationship and building the community. All of those things happen so that there is relationship and community, faith community in the school.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, without that, yeah, all the other stuff can get in the way very quickly of that. But at the same time, it doesn't happen without all that stuff. It's kind of a circular argument, if you
For
will.
sure. We need both pieces equally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, so yeah, what are the strategies? What are the best practices out there for making these, kind of going back to the big picture question? Yeah. What are the strategies working the best for making clubs relevant and impactful and engaging to today's students?
Yeah, I think our clubs need to be rooted in real life application. Like, this is for you right now. And then also stories and testimonies.
Yep.
Whenever a student stands up and shares what they've experienced and how, their life was changed by Jesus, like, that's what's going to move other students to want to do the same. And those stories are going to look different on every school campus. And that's what I love. And whenever students get to share their stories and even using real life scenarios or cultural moments to talk about the gospel, like, that helps it stick, because it's like, oh, this wasn't something that was like my grandma learned about that happened thousands of years ago, whatever. It's like, no, like, this applies to you right now.
Yeah.
And then also to food, that always just makes things relevant and impactful every time.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And then a welcoming atmosphere where students feel like they belong is half the battle, because if they come in and it's awkward and no one talks to them, like, you've lost their attention immediately. And I think we have to stop counting certain students out. You may have students coming to club who aren't ready to speak, and maybe they're new to following Jesus, but they're the fun, social, rowdy, hospitable kid that everybody knows. And it's like, hey, this is your new welcome person. Like, they are going to make everyone excited to be there. And, they might be the students that are the most annoying during the message or whatever, but hey, we get to train them up and learn what it looks like to honor the Lord and honor your friends while they're speaking, but also like, they're going to make it an enjoyable environment, and we need those kids there, even if they stress the adults out.
Yep.
And now too, like, students have a lot of social anxiety, or they're intimidated to do new things that feel uncomfortable. And so doing things that can create that comfortable space is really important. So like having a question of the day, or have your student leaders sit with people they don't know, play music as people are coming in. Like, I have one club, like, the students are just really they never want to feel awkward, so they play like instrumental worship music even behind like the speaker and during discussion, and that like really helps them just make it a peaceful environment and comfortable, and all of those things, just making it a space that is real and safe too, where they're like, oh, like, I can have fun here and be me and have some pizza or whatever it is, but also like, I'm wanted here. And I think that question of the day, or even having those student leaders sit with other students, is huge because of that.
Yep. Yeah, it comes back to, you talk about being wanted here. We have to remember our why. I always go back well, at least I went back when you said those things this time, like, the Holy Spirit is called the Comforter, but how comfortable are the kids in a majority of our schools? I mean, you have different ones, right? Inner city, or I can make generalizations and say they're not comfortable, but for the most part, kids are waking up in comfortable beds, eating comfort food, driving in cars with heated seats. They're living a very comfortable life and don't feel like they need a comforter, until we do hear each other's story of brokenness, and my family's gone through this, or my dad did that, or whatever the cases might be. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that's why I'm a Christian, because God walked me through this situation. He has brought peace to my life. And I was forgetting that because I was very comfortable with my physical surroundings. And in reality, I need to remember that every day. Because I forget. It's really easy to forget when we wake up in our comfortable beds that, God is the one that's really carried us through it all. And just to remember. So I think first priority clubs can be part of that.
For sure. Yeah, that's good. And that goes into, making sure we do understand the culture of each school, because I definitely have those schools where it's like, these kids are super physically comfortable. And so that makes them not even realize their spiritual need a lot of times. But then I have other schools where it's like, they want Jesus more than anything because they're searching and have nothing, So goes into both those.
And that's why you're going through all 27 schools individually and not just making one policy for all of them.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, you mentioned social media, and I have been saying the TikTok because I'm 50 and I'm old and I should say things like the TikTok. But how are you using social media technology to increase student engagement? Do you have a strategy on that, or is that customized too, depending on the location?
Yeah, that's something we're talking a lot about in Kansas City right now is how do we use social media to truly promote and capture students' attention because each one of my clubs has their own social media account, but some of them use it really well and then others just post like a really bad graphic like from time to time. And so it's like how can we help them do this well because that's where the students are, they're on social media. This is something where we can post encouragement or we can post meeting recaps or even
Sure.
student testimonies there because if a student sees them or one of their friends in the video, they're automatically going to repost it,
Yep.
and other students are going to see it. And it's a huge tool. And we can use it as a way to reinforce the message and make students feel like they're a part of something bigger too. Because even when they get to see, like, I know I have a couple clubs that, well, a lot of my clubs follow each other too on
Sure.
Instagram or whatever. And so they get to see what other schools are doing and they're encouraged by that. And they're like, wow, like this is so cool. It's going on all across my city. And it's kind of a unique way to build community online too, just through our clubs. And we have a few schools that prep and make videos at their leader meetings or even before or after club. And
Okay.
so I'm thinking through next school year too of like, yeah, how do we make that more of a priority? Because kind of what happened this school year was I had some students that were just gifted in that area. And so those schools that they went to, like their social medias were like fantastic. And then, the other clubs where maybe they don't have any students that are like, I love, posting or whatever. Then it was just like, oh, this is not the best,
Mm-hmm.
but how
Yeah.
can we make a template or something helpful to them to know, hey, you can post this or you can
Yep.
do this and it will truly help student engagement inside a club too. And then like when a student's walking around like taking videos and pictures, like kids want to be in it. They're like, yeah. So it just automatically makes students be like, oh, like this person goes there. Or, whoa, that whole friend group goes there, that
Yep.
kind of stuff. But,
Yep. Well, much like the beginning of the conversation, I look forward to hearing more about that and how that goes in Kansas City. Because, yeah, from my experience, it's been a few years since I was a coach on a school campus at the moment, but you couldn't always tell which kids were good at social media based on personality or anything. Because you hand it to a kid and you don't know what you're going to get until they start posting. So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, even doing like, I would love on Kansas City's like main account, to even do like student takeovers or whatever, where like students like vlog them going to club and it's like, a kid could be like, I'll use Braden for example, like, hey, I'm Braden. I go to Blue Springs High School. Come with me, to my club. And they just get to log their experience and they can post it on their, club's account. But then we can also post it on Kansas City, like things like that, where it's like
Yeah.
students are still the ones leading in that capacity and students are still the ones like they're the heroes. They get to be the ones that are
Right.
shown on social media, obviously with parent permission. Don't get in
Mm-hmm.
trouble.
Right.
But yeah, in general though, like I think the more that we can have students shine in that way, it's really impactful to parents, students, donors, teachers, everybody.
Agreed. I'm always encouraged when I see those things. You guys have done a great job with a few. Hopefully you can get to the many. That'd be good. Very good.
For sure.
Any parting words of wisdoms or thought? I mean, you've given us 30 minutes of of things to do here. This has been great. Any parting words?
Hey, it's summer. Plan for next school year. Get some rest. That's all I know. So, make sure you're ready to go for next school year. Don't burn yourself out this summer. But hey, my weekly Sabbath is really important. So encourage everyone to do that.
Good. That's good. Well, I would say take that day meeting with yourself over the summer and just take a healthy assessment. Look at your 27 schools or however many schools God's given to you. And what does he have planned for each and individual? And situational leadership, then none of them are cookie cutter. Like, big picture, we all have the same core values. We all have the same mission, but it gets played out. 10-minute club is very different from a 30-minute club. So take that time, listen to this podcast again, glean some more wisdom from Jenna. And next year will be great because of it. Yeah. So cool. Well, thank you, Jenna, for joining us, for giving us this wisdom from beyond your years. Thank everybody for listening in this week. I know it was an encouragement to you. So until next week, we hope you have a great one.